Hey everyone, and welcome to the Local Influencers Podcast. I'm your host Abel, and today again it is just me. My co-hosts are unable to join because they are busy getting our social media growing. However, I am joined today by the owners of the Bluntzer Fruit Stand, Bryana and husband Nick. Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Hey,
How you doing?
thanks
Nice
for
to be
having
here.
us.
Yeah, for sure. So we've kind of been working this for a while now. I was joking with them beforehand. They booked this a month in advance, and here we are. Time flies. So I'm excited to talk to you guys, especially because you guys are well known. I was talking to my mom earlier, and I was like, "Yeah, my last podcast is with this girl I know from school." And I was like, they own the Blunter Food Stand, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's been around forever." And I'm like, yeah, I feel like you've owned it since like I've known you. I don't know why. I just feel like it's been around that long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk to you guys. First off, how long has the fruit stand been around?
So formally, the fruit stand has been around for what, 5 years? Formally,
Yeah,
probably
about
about
5, 6
5
years.
years. But we've actually been selling produce for the past 10 years.
Well, they're on that
There
corner.
on that corner, yeah. So we've been in the produce business for a long time, but as far as it being Bluntzer Fruit Stand, formally and really started getting the name out, still fairly new. I would say maybe a little longer than 5 years,
Yeah, about six.
maybe
or
about six or 7 years. Yeah, 6 or 7 years. So we've been out there for a while. But as far as the fruit stand itself, we're still pretty new in the business world.
Yeah. So what made y'all? I have to ask because it's a very interesting market that you guys are in as small business, business owners. What made you guys say like this is what we want to do? Like let's open up a fruit stand on the corner in
Middle of
Wake,
nowhere.
Cal Allen, Orange Grove area. Like y'all are like, I know it because it's like out there. This is where,
Yeah.
we all grew up out here, so I know where it's at. But for like our listeners, just so you guys know, and they're gonna plug their address at the very end, their official address at the very end. It's like in Cal Allen going towards Orange Grove.
Yeah, 10
Um,
miles.
so what made you guys say like this is a spot? And then let's get into the fruit. I know you guys sell more than fruit. I know you're famous for your tortillas as well. Um, so what made you guys get into this?
It's funny because we never anticipated on opening up a fruit stand business. Never. My family has been in the produce business for a long time. My dad, my grandfather, they've all sold fruit and vegetables, gone to the valley, picked up stuff. Whenever I was little, I mean, my grandparents, my dad, they would sell at flea markets. I mean, that's the kind of growing up that I have. But when I graduated, and my husband and I, we both graduated, um, I was at Del Mar, and he was just kind of trying to find a way to make some money, and he was just peddling fruit with my dad there in Bluntzer. It was just a pop-up little spot, some quick way to make some money is all it was.
And we're kind of young. We're in our 30s, and from what we're told, especially from customers who've lived in that area, grown up in that area, there has always been somebody selling something under that tree where we, started our store. For the most part, it was produce. It was always somebody selling, watermelons on the side of the road, or in the wintertime, they bring oranges and grapefruit, on the side of the road. And her father, being that he was in the produce business, most of his life, he had recognized that and seen that as an opportunity. And the first chance that he had gotten, he made the move to, acquire that location. So, yeah, we graduated and we got some jobs. We were working at Fuddruckers.
Yeah, we were just trying to make some money. And like I said, to make it kind of short and sweet. But my husband was there selling, and my dad was getting out of the produce business. And he told my husband, hey, if y'all want to just kind of take over this spot, exactly what you said. You said it. It was just a spot. That's all it was. If you want to take over this spot, and just, keep making some extra cash till you find out what you're going to do, you're more than welcome to. And so again, I finished at Del Mar, where I have an early childhood associate's degree in education. I was on my way to my bachelor's degree at A&M Corpus. And I'll never forget, my husband one day just called me and he was like, hey, I'm starting to get busy, and I was like, what do you mean busy? And he's like, no, but we're starting to get like customers, like regular customers. And we were just very shocked. Like, what do you mean? This is not, I'm going to be a teacher and you don't know what you want to do right now. And it just, I remember I was like, you know what, let's just do it. We know we're good at this. We like it. Let's just keep on buying and selling and meeting new people in the business. And just like that, I mean, over 5 years, maybe it just kept growing. And I always say, we never ever anticipated, where we're at today with the business and how big it's grown. We've never expected that to happen. That was not the plan. But it's kind of like the fruit business chose us for sure, because we were just kind of just doing it, just doing it. But we fell in love with it. We fell in love with serving customers, serving our community. We live in that rural area now. So we understand, coming from, my husband grew up in Kingsville. I grew up in, Annabelle, Calallen area. We're close to everything. Now we live in that area and we definitely see that there's a need, and there's elderly out there, and there's families that live on ranches, and there's nothing out there. So we definitely see why we grew so fast, because it was like, wow, we got our own little produce market. We don't have to drive 20 miles here, 20 miles there. So yeah, definitely the fruit business chose us. But it was the best thing that could have happened to us.
And I know the area too. There's a lot, people don't realize that, like, out in those, like, quote unquote fields and stuff, there's actually a lot of people that live out there, because I used to, like, right after high school, I used to manage a rent center in Alice, and we had customers all through all that area. And I remember, like, FM road this and county road this, and you have to turn on a dirt road to get somebody's house.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, like, man, if these people want something, they have to drive like 20 minutes to Calallen to get Walmart. And then Walmart, half the time, their produce, speaking just specifically, is disgusting all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's all beat up and it's all nasty, never fresh. Like, that's the one thing about Walmart. Like, whatever, like, say what you will about them, but their produce is disgusting. Like, okay. And
you said it, not me.
Yeah. And so I know about it out there, like you said. And it's funny that you guys say, like, it's crazy to me that, you were in your 30s. We're all in our 30s, because I'm just a couple of years older than, I don't know how Nick is, but I've known Bryana since we used to go to a skating rink called Skateland in middle school. And I was two grades
2
above
years.
her. So,
2 grades above me.
That's how far, like, whenever we say 30s, I get sick to my stomach, because yesterday was our birthday.
Yes.
And so everybody was like, how old are you? 34? I'm like, I was 33.
Yeah.
So I'm 33. I'm trying to hold on to that. Anyways, back to you guys.
Not downhill.
And my uncle, he was like, it's all downhill from there. I'm like, oh, it was all downhill after 30, buddy.
Yeah.
No, so can I ask you guys, how do you source, like, your fruit and stuff? Do you get it locally? Do you guys have vendors somewhere? Because I just interviewed someone who owns a floral shop, and she actually gets it from South America, all of her stuff. So how do you guys go about getting, like, the freshest fruit and stuff like that?
So that's a Nick question right there. You talk to me about the store and customer service, and that's me. But I'm gonna hand that over to my husband.
Well, as far as sourcing, produce for the store, it's a pretty big job, or it's grown to be. Back in the day when we had first started out, all we had to do was make a weekly trip down to the valley, quote unquote the valley, whichever part of Texas you needed to be in for, if it's the summertime, you go to this part of the valley. If it's the wintertime, you go to this part of the valley. I buy straight from the farms. But now that we've grown, we're not going to be able to make it. And, we're not going to be able to continue to offer that variety that everybody loves, especially for all those people who don't want to have to drive all the way to Walmart or HEB. We want to offer as much variety as we can. So, now being, almost 11 years in business or on that corner, we source from a good variety of places. We try to buy as much as we can, as local as we can. You know, we tell people we're not necessarily a farmer's market. We don't know the first thing about growing most of this produce. We don't have a big garden in our backyard and sell our own homegrown tomatoes. But we do buy, you know, tomatoes homegrown from the Amish there in the Beeville area. We also sell the honey from the Amish there in the Beeville area. Yeah, when they have okra, you know, anything that they have that's in season that's starting to come up. Actually, they're giving me calls right now this week asking me if we need some homegrown tomatoes. So they're just about to start coming off. But, you know, as local as we can, as often as we can. We get watermelons from, you know, right there in Edinburgh. Sometimes when the valley starts to run out, then they start to come from around Fremont. And then the crops start to move, you know, more towards West Texas as the season goes on. So, you know, actually one of our t-shirts, we're wearing the t-shirt right now. If you're listening to the podcast, you won't be able to see it, but on the back of the t-shirt, there's a big Texas, and this just has a map of places all over, you know, the state where we go to sort, where I've driven to go get all these, you know, things. We go to Muleshoe, we go to Floydada for pumpkins up in the Panhandle. So, you know, as local as we can, as often as we can, from wherever, you know, around here. There's even people in our own backyard that grow squash and zucchini, and they bring it to us, and we barter and trade with them, and we sell, you know, good local, you know, spring garden vegetables and stuff. But we also have other companies that deliver to us on a weekly basis, up to twice or three times a week, just so we can keep that variety and that freshness going. We get all our strawberries and all our, you know, berries and things that you might find at the store for $3-4 a container. We sell them, you know, 2 for $5, 3 for $5, and that's where we get those, you know, type of items. So yeah, deliveries come multiple times throughout the week, and then I myself, I'm on the road at least twice a week, every week, all year long.
Can I ask, like, how do you guys know how much inventory to buy? Because that fruit goes bad. Like, just like I asked, you know, Latoya from Rose Soiree, like, flowers go bad, fruit goes bad after a while. So if you get too much, you know, you're at a loss. But then if you have not enough, you know, it's like, so what? How do you do that?
And that's, you know, and that's kind of where, you know, starting off so small, you know, and just kind of growing with the business and growing with the customer base, it's given us a pretty good idea to where when things are in season, you know, watermelon season, cantaloupe season, since we've seen the business grow and we've seen the clientele grow, we've kind of been able to gauge, like, okay, last season we would buy, you know, this much per week, you know, at this season, let's up it a little bit. Wow, we sold out, call the farmer again, you know, let's get another order. So it's definitely been just trial and error. I'm not gonna lie, there's some weeks where we say, yeah, you know, mangoes are gonna hit this week, and they don't. And unfortunately, some of our farmers in our area, they get free food for their cows, you know, so it doesn't go to waste per se. But I mean, a lot of trial and error. And that's another reason why Nick is on the road as much as he is, because we try not to overbuy. We try to just buy enough to where we can go, you know, we can go back down and let's bring another load. That way we're constant, and people rave about how fresh our produce is. And it's, I think it's the fact that we have such a tight grip on when we're going to bring stuff in. You know, we bring it in every 2 or 3 days, you know, fresh, sell it out. We're going to bring another load, you know, so we don't bank on just, I'm going to just once a week bring something and hope it sells. No, we try and do it. It's a little more work for us, but for the customer, it shows and they see it.
It's not like Walmart where it sits there for a week, you know, and then by the time you get your strawberries home, they're only good for 2 days. You know, like that just happened to me the other day and I was pissed off. So that's what I get for shopping at Walmart. Okay. So man, I just lost track of my mind because I was hating on Walmart. Okay, so I guess it's better to sell out than to not. I mean, yeah, better to sell out than not than have product go bad. In other words, right?
Yeah, and so, like, go ahead. So, well, so even when
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Even when we, you know, advertise, because we get a lot of customers that come from a lot of different places, and we always put on like our Facebook posts, you know, while supplies last, you know, or until we sell out, because, you know, and sometimes they get upset, but that's a way that we can maintain the freshness, and that's the way we can maintain, having as best quality produce as we can.
So I have a couple of questions. One about like the seasoning of like foods, like fruits, the seasons. How is it that like I can go to like I don't know like a fruiteria and get a fruit cup and get like fruit at any time of the year, but a fruit is not technically in season? Do you guys know how that works? Like, are they just like giving me bad shit? I forgot I can cuss on this podcast. So are they just giving me nasty shit, or like is it just like how do you know how that works? Is it can you answer
Yeah,
that?
well, there are definitely seasons for every type of produce. You you say that, but you might not notice it when you do go to the paletera or the fruteria in the summertime. Your fruit cup might taste a lot better because the watermelon is so much sweeter. But if you get one, towards November, December, the watermelon kind of sucked today. Let me throw that out and just eat the rest of it. You know what I'm saying? There are certainly ways to get produce year round. We can get watermelon year round. We can get cantaloupe year round. But keep in mind, it won't be Texas watermelon. It won't be Texas cantaloupe. We like to buy what's in season here in Texas when it's in season. So even the stores, they have to do that. It's kind of like what they do just to continue to offer variety to their customers. Talking about Walmart, talking about HB, even Sprouts, all these other places. They source stuff from overseas, Guatemala, Peru, all these places. Ship produce our way, and those are the types of things that come in whenever they're out of season. So summertime will usually be your mangoes, your pineapples do come year round from Mexico, so those are always good. But watermelon, cantaloupe, mangoes, those type of tropical fruit, peaches, plums, yeah, all the stone fruit, that's really good in the spring and summer. But I wouldn't advise buying those things, out of season, unless you're just a gambler and you like to take the gamble. You might find a good one. You might get some good ones.
That's happened to me before. Like thinking about it, like I've gotten a fruit cup and I've been a watermelon. I'm like, man, that watermelon was like shit. Like it wasn't that good.
It's also the reason why people, ask us, you don't sell pecans year round, because there are other, stores or fruit stands in our area who sell pecans all year long. And we don't do that. We buy them when they're coming off fresh. And usually January, February, or March will be the very last time that we buy pecans, because we want to make sure to run out, because we only buy them when they're fresh. The pecans we have in store right now were harvested about a month ago from the 2020 crop, 2 months ago, and they've been processed and dried out properly, and they have a shelf life of so long before they start to dry out and stuff like that. So if we continue to sell them year round, the quality would go down, and we just wouldn't like the quality that we'd be sending out the door. So
yeah, and also people ask us, sometimes, like I said, customers come in, they're used to seeing fruit year round in the stores, like you said, peaches in the store, all these summer fruits, they're seeing them November, December, and then they come expecting to find it at our place, and they're like, well, Walmart has it. But, one thing that and like I said, I'm the customer service person, one thing is I try to educate them, and I try to talk to them about what's in season and what's out of season, because once you understand that, then you can better buy for yourself and not be so like, well, man, that was a bad watermelon. Well, you bought it in December. It probably is bad. You know what I mean? Like, but buy it June, July, and it's going to be very good, So yeah, I think just really educating people on that. So thanks for asking.
Yeah. And so we've talked about the fruit kind of in detail, and I mentioned earlier, about your tortillas. What other things is it that you guys sell? You just said pecans. Is it just those items, or what other types of things can people get at your fruit stand?
Just this year or last year, we expanded to where, now we get calls and we get emails from different, people from all over Texas, from all over, saying, hey, I have this, I have that item, and they want to bring it into our store because they've seen the following that we do have on social media, and they've heard about us maybe through a friend or relative. So now we're actually working with a super awesome small business out of the valley, out of Brownsville, Texas, with homemade jellies and jams. So then they have all their licensing, so that they can actually sell to me, and then I can resell, because that's also a process. But jellies and jams they started making homemade glazes.
Those are
So
really good.
and most of their stuff that they make as well is used with Texas fruit and Texas products. We also are connected with a canner that does salsas, pickled products like pickled okra, pickled green beans, like all those kind of fun, items, as well as cobblers that are already like ready to go in the jar. So we have a canner from Texas that does that for us as well. And then of course, we live in South Texas. So a lot of people, they do come to us for the pure vanilla, Mexican vanilla. So things that Nick can find down in the valley at the different markets that bring Mexico products in, there's a customer base for that too. So the pure vanilla, we have hot sauces, we have pickled chili piquin, all kinds of stuff. And again, back to the seasons, depending on what time of the year it is. I mean, in December, we have the stuff for tamales, we have hojas, we have the chiles, we have all of those good things. But yeah, it's definitely grown to more than just produce. I think a good percentage of the store, maybe
up to 40% now is just non-perishable. Even the spices.
We have spices in.
So pecan oil. It's a really good cooking oil, but it's pecan oil. Similar to avocado oil, it has a really high smoke point. It's really healthy for you.
Yeah.
So we sell a good amount of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I wanted to say congratulations for being up on the bands, to be nominated for one of the best farmers market vendor.
Yes, and same to you. Yes.
Yes, I was excited. I saw one category and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw two and I'm like,
yes.
All right, stop it. You're crying. I'm not. That's a really cool thing, So congratulations. By the time this episode airs, because you guys are going to be in season 3, by the time this episode airs, the winners and all that would be announced, but just being up mentioned is a good thing. So
yes.
Awesome. And so before we wrap, is there anything else that you guys like to add? And if not, now's the time to plug your address, your social media, and where people can find you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, probably just want to just add that, a lot of times people, they think that they have to travel, up to the hill country and up to the valley, Rio Grande Valley to get these, good Texas produce and stuff. But I always tell people, that's our job, and we do that driving for you guys. And the same stuff that you're going to go down there and get is literally now in your backyard, 10 miles outside of Calallen. But yeah, we're kind of that, but that's going to be closer than driving up to the hill country or down south to the valley. So yeah, now I'm excited because we're going to continue growing and we're going to continue to bring those items that everyone loves, to go and get and have, you can have them and they're not going to be as far for you to, access. We're going to do that for you guys. How about you, babe?
No, that was pretty much it.
Facebook, Instagram.
Oh yeah. And, if you're not following us on social media yet, it would be a really good thing to do. We try to utilize that as often as we can, and not just to let people know where we are. We do really fun things. One thing we have come up with, we fight over whose idea it was because it was such a good idea, but it's called a secret sale, and it's one of those things where we put an item on sale in the store. It might be a container of strawberries are usually $3. Okay, today you can get them for $1 or $1.50, but we only advertise these sales on social media. We don't say anything about them in the store. So following us on social media will certainly pay off. You'll have access to those secret sales. We do things like check-in deals every now and then. If you check in on Facebook, you show a cashier your little post after you've checked in that there's another deal that you can get, and those usually run for about a week long. We do our weekly price list on Facebook. We also send it through email, and we're trying to utilize our Instagram a little bit more. That's just one of them that we've lacked on. We have a really big following on Facebook, but not as much on Instagram, and we're really trying to focus on that. Come up with some new fun ideas to incorporate Instagram as well.
Yeah, but we're open 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And our address is 5459 FM 624. That's Robstown. But we're actually 10 miles outside of Calallen towards the Orange Grove area. And of course, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Bluntzer Fruit Stand, and then at Bluntzer Fruit Stand on Instagram.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, the easiest way to if you're not familiar with the Calallen and Robstown, all these areas, just go on Leopard Street, get all the way to Callan, continue. It turns into 624, and you'll run into them eventually.
Yep, go straight.
So that's all you got to do, guys. Leopard turns into 624. It's just a big road. Yeah. So thank you guys for being here. And you're saying like y'all don't have that big of a following. 3,000 followers on Instagram is not a small following. So you know what I mean. So I mean that's a good following. So yeah. But thank you guys for being here. I know you guys are busy. You're in your mobile office. I know that.
Yes.
And so thank you guys for being here. And for the listeners, until the next time we talk, please make sure you head out and visit somewhere cool in Corpus Christi. And you guys have a great day.